there, it's Mrs. Helfer, and hopefully by today you've been able to finish your fall tree pictures. We did two different styles of trees. Here's one of mine. I did the background in the crayon, so you can kind of see some swirls if you can notice that. Hopefully that shows up. Almost looks like a Vincent van Gogh painting, where one of his paintings is called Starry Night, where the sky has lots of swirls in it. So I kind of fashioned the sky a little bit after that. And this tree, here's my other one, different type of tree. And I did the background on this one with watercolor paints. And I did a little bit of purple on the edges to kind of frame it, and kind of blended purples and blues together and just kind of move that puddle around. So hopefully you guys are done with your pictures, and I will be anxious to see your beautiful artwork. So today we're going to start a new project, and it's still going to be a seasonal project. You might be noticing the leaves on the trees are changing colors, and they may be turning yellow or orange or bright, even some reds, and they're starting to fall off the trees. So we're going to do a leaf project, and I'll show you a couple samples. Here's one here, and all the different colors. Some leaves are still green and some are changing, so I have a few leaves here. Here's one project. Here's another one, just a little bit different colors. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with white paper, and we're going to draw the leaves, and then we're going to color them in with crayon. When we draw the leaves, we're going to overlap them. Overlap means this one is on top of that one a little bit. It's overlapping just a little bit, so this one looks like it's in front of that one, and this one here is overlapping that leaf there. And so what we're going to do is create some depth or distance in our picture, because this leaf is a little bit farther away, and this one's, because it's on top, it's a little bit closer, but it will just create some dimension in our picture. And so we're going to do our leaves in crayon and using different colors, and then the background, I will let you choose. Again, we're just going to do one picture this time, but you can choose between crayon or watercolor. The fun thing about this picture or this project is it can be held any way. I can hold it this way, and I can just arrange it however I want when I hang it on the wall. It's almost like the leaves have just fallen off the tree, like the wind blew them, or they just fell. It almost looks like it could be in a puddle the way, because I've colored the background in blue, but sometimes they fall and they're just laying on the grass, and so it's kind of a random arrangement of the leaves, as if they just fell off the tree. So anyway, so hopefully we will have fun with that, and in just a moment we will start, and I will show you how to start. Okay, so here we are. This is our new project we're going to do. It's called Autumn Leaves, and we're going to do leaves as if they just fell off the tree, and they're maybe laying on the ground, and they're kind of randomly laid out. So here's a sample. I'll show you a couple samples. I have some other work that maybe some other students have done. Here's another one, a little bit different color choices. Here's a little bit, this one's a smaller one, quite a few more leaves, but anyway, so there's some samples, and I want you to notice some things, and I'll tell you what we're going to do with that. Notice how the leaves are overlapping, and what I mean by that is you can tell that this leaf is in front of that leaf a little bit because it's covering part of that leaf, so we call that overlapping. This one's overlapping that one just a little bit. This one's overlapping this one a bit, and that one as well. And then this one's overlapping that one. And then this one is then overlapping that one, and that one's overlapping there. So there's a lot of overlap. What that does is it creates some depth and distance in our picture, or dimension. So it appears that some things are closer than others. Like if I overlap my hands, you can tell that there's one's in front of the other. So I'm going to have you do some overlap when we lay out our picture. What we're going to do first is draw we'll start with the white paper, we'll lay out our leaves, and then we'll draw our leaves, and then we'll color them in with crayons. So what I want to do first before we start is I want to just give you some guidelines. So here's a little paper, hopefully you can read that. The first thing I want you to think about, I want you to do 5 or more leaves. You can do a few leaves, but if you just do one, it won't be as interesting, and you can't overlap one leaf, so you can't create that distance. So I want you to do about 5. If you want to do a couple more, or if you have draw really big leaves, it's okay if you don't have 5, but 5 is a good number. So we want to do 5 leaves. I want you to show overlapping, and we talked about that. So here's the overlapping, and to create overlapping. Then the third thing I want you to do is I want you to create negative space. Now, you might say, what is negative space? Now, negative space, and I also put in here space in between the leaves. So instead of doing all my leaves all over the place so I have no background, I'm leaving some space in between the leaves. So here's some space in the leaf, between the leaf here. Here's a little space here. There's space here, 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 and here. And what makes it interesting, we call that negative space. Think of the leaf as the actual object, so that would be positive space maybe. And then what's in between, or the leftover space, would be called the negative space. But when you're laying your leaves out, we want to make the negative space just as interesting as the shape of the leaves. So we will have negative shapes. Like this is kind of a zigzag, almost looks like a Z or something. And we're going to have some interesting shapes depending on how we decide to lay out our leaves. So that's what I want you to be aware of. And then the fourth thing is I want you to do 3 or more colors per leaf. And that won't be hard at all, because you might have, like for instance with this leaf, we have it outlined in a little bit thicker area with an orange and a little bit of red, and then it goes into yellow, and then there's another lighter orange. This leaf has a few colors in it, orange and green and red. This one is more greens and yellows, but each leaf, instead of just coloring it solid one color, we want to give it a few colors. So I would say at least 3 different shades. It can all be orange, but it could be light orange, medium orange, dark orange, but different shades of color, okay? So 5 or more leaves. We want to show overlapping. We want to create negative space, and we want 3 or more colors per leaf, okay? So if you remember last week, I asked if you would want to go walking around your neighborhood or in your yard and collect some leaves for our project. One of the foundational things for art is drawing. And when we're drawing from nature, we want to observe nature. And the best way to observe nature is to actually look at specific things in nature. So if we're doing leaves, the best way to learn to draw leaves is to go find some real leaves. So I walked in my neighborhood today, and I found some really interesting leaves. Some were off my trees, and some are from my neighbor's trees. But notice the different shapes. Some of them have, like this has like 3 general little prongs coming out. This is just a simple shape. This one has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little points, almost like, kind of like a star has points, but it's not like the same shape as a star. This one has little curves going around. Some are from the same tree, but they're different colors. This one is the same type of tree, off the same tree as that one, and so is this one. And they're different sizes too. Like maybe this is a baby leaf. It hasn't grown as long, just grew longer on the tree before it fell off. And so we have a lot of different colors as well. Another thing I want you to observe when we're drawing the leaves as we have veins in our body. Sometimes you can see the veins, like you can see my veins coming through, but we have veins in our body, and they carry oxygen. The blood flows in our veins, and it carries oxygen to our body and nutrients. And the way God has created us, that keeps us alive. And remember, we talked about how smart God is and how much everything in creation makes sense. Well, when God made the leaves,
and created the workings of a tree, the leaves grow on the tree. So you have the trunk coming from the ground, and you water, and the nutrients in the ground go up through the trunk and go to the branches, and then the branches go to twigs, and then the twigs are attached, the leaves are attached to the twigs, and they grow. And so you're going to notice the leaf actually has veins. So here's the twig, the nutrients are coming through here, and they flow to each part of the leaf, and you see like these little lines. Those are what we might call veins. And you're going to observe some different leaves, and the veins are interesting. Here's a fun leaf. This is a really big one. It's kind of brittle, but so it's not going to last very long. It's a little crunchy. You can kind of hear it. But you can see here's the stem, and then you've got the veins going here, and that's where all the nutrients flow for the leaf to grow. And then here's another one. This one's really pretty. This is the same. It was off that same tree, but a little bit different color. It's got lots of pink and a little bit reddish pink, and then yellow and green, different shades of green. But notice all the interesting veins. I'll put it a little bit closer and you can see how it goes out from there, and just really makes an interesting, artistic, fun design. So I'll show you a few more leaves, and then we'll talk about how to get started. And just lots of different colors. This one's not as bright, not the same one. This one's like changing at different rates. Same tree, but a little bit different. Also the same tree here, and this there. They're all kind of turning pink. Normally they're green. I don't know if I have any. I don't think I have any green ones from that tree, but I should have looked for some green ones. But anyway, here we go. So lots and lots of leaves. Okay. So, all right. So when we lay our picture out, we'll talk about them in a minute. Let me put these leaves away. Okay, so as we begin our picture, I know that some of you are older than others doing the art project, so it might be a little bit easier for some of you than the younger grades might have a little bit harder time. So I want to kind of simplify things and explain a little bit, and then we can go on and start. What you can do, if you're younger and you collect leaves and they're somewhat flat, if you would like, you can trace the leaves. So we're going to work on a white paper. Okay, as we begin, we're going to do 5 or more leaves. We're going to show overlapping, and we're going to have interesting in-between space, which is called negative space. Okay, so that's what we're going to think about when we draw. Now, how do we draw the leaves? I said the best thing is to look at nature and observe it, and then you can copy it as closely as possible. If you are younger and you have collected leaves and you aren't necessarily comfortable drawing leaves, if you would like to trace the actual leaves, like I could lay it here and I could outline and trace it in pencil first if I wanted, or I could just set it right here and look at the shape and figure out what angle I want to draw it, and I can actually draw it freehand. Now, as far as layout, I actually got some leaves, and real leaves off trees, some bigger leaves, and I cut them, I traced them in cardboard and then cut out the shapes, just so I have some interesting leaf shapes. So I want to show you a little bit just on this against this black paper of what you can do. You don't have to do all the leaves, but do more than one shape. Don't do all of the same shape. But remember I said we want to do at least 5, so I might just do 5 or 6. And so I'm gonna look at some of these leaves. This one's a little bit different shapes. These are similar, but this has like a little tail over here, looks like. So I might decide I'm gonna arrange a leaf. I don't wanna just pile them all up like this and overlap them. And that's my overlap, because I don't have any negative space. I have a little negative space there, but all the negative space here is, and I don't see many shapes of the leaves, and I've kind of lost the shapes of the leaves because they're all piled in. So what I want to do is spread them out a little bit and make some interesting shapes, negative shapes, or the in-between spaces be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread these out a bit. So I might put this here, and it can hang off the page a little bit. Maybe it doesn't fit all the way, and maybe it's hanging off a bit. I might overlap this one on that one. I might do, maybe I'll do a bigger one here. I might overlap this a tad like that, and then I might put another bigger one over here, and I might overlap that. If I want to repeat a certain shape, like this, a little bit different shape, I might put another one over there. I think I have another cut out of the similar shape, so I can repeat a leaf and repeat a shape. This one's a little bit smaller, so put that there. But do you see how I've created interesting negative spaces and negative shapes? And if I start doing too many, or I pile them up too much in the middle, I've lost that. So, and it gets a little confusing. I don't know which leaf is which. So, so that's why I said only do maybe, don't fill up the whole page, but they can go off the page, but leave some spaces in between. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's a good number. If I wanted to just do 5, I can maybe put this guy in the middle, maybe him over here, maybe move this here. I could do something like that, okay? But I'm gonna decide how I want it to. I may not want to have them lined up like that. That might not be interesting because I don't have interesting negative spaces. So there's not a formula as to what makes it interesting or what makes it, better than another, design, but just you'll just kind of decide what you want and how much overlap you want to have, but just create some bit of overlap when you lay your picture out, okay? So that's showing negative shapes, negative space, and this is the positive space, okay? So here's my white paper, and I have an actual leaf. So I have a choice. I can, if it's not too big and it would work, I can trace this or I can draw it, okay? So if I trace it, I'll just go ahead. There's a little few zigzags on here. So I'm gonna have to hold the leaf down pretty secure, and I don't have to do all the zigzags exactly how they are. So I'm not pressing hard against here. I'm just generally going along the area. If I want to just outline it and not do all the zigzags like this and then add them later, I can. But it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Even though the leaves on the same, like one tree has leaves that are pretty much the same shape, because like you don't grow one leaf on a tree and then grow a different leaf on the same tree. It generally grows the same type of leaves. So there's my general shape. We're not gonna outline the stem. We'll draw that in later. We can just put it in like that. But if I wanted to repeat that, I could find another angle or another way to do it, or I can do another leaf. But if I want to freehand draw the leaf, I can just have the leaf sitting right here, and maybe I want to have an angle maybe off the page. So I can just structurally, I can do it like this, where I'm drawing the veins kind of first of where the prongs will go on the leaf. I can do it like that and then fill it in. Or I can just freehand draw. It's kind of like has a point, like almost like a star. And I'm just freehand drawing this one. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's what I like about when we're doing things from nature. There's a lot of, I would call, forgiveness. It's not like we're gonna say, oh, that's not exactly how the leaf goes, because all the leaves will be a bit different. So I'll just put the stem going there. But so the same leaf that I'm using, one was traced, one wasn't, and they might be a little bit different. One might be smaller, one might be larger. I might put another shape leaf in here. I might put it there. I might use some of the shapes of what I have here to make it interesting. So I might draw another leaf. I think I'll put a larger one here. And I think I'll do the stem. So I'll go from here like that, and then go here like that. Go here. I'm going to do some overlap over here. And when we do overlap, we have to decide who's going to be on top. So I think I'll make this one go on top there. And then this come over here like that. And go in there like that. so that's overlapping right there. So what I want to do before I move on, I have to decide, because I've drawn this leaf and they're intersecting there. So I have to decide who's on top. I want this guy to be on top. So I'm going to erase the evidence of the line of the leaf over here underneath. So I'm going to be erasing as I go to make sure that I don't get confused of which one's on top of the other, okay? I think I will put a leaf shape similar to this, and this is kind of curved there. It's kind of interesting. So I think I'm going to put this right here. So I can trace it, or I can actually draw it. I'm going to draw that as if it's underneath. I'm going to have that kind of curl and then go over here like that. And I'm going to have that little be underneath a bit. I think I might put this same leaf and maybe change the angle. Maybe I'd have it go like this, and maybe have it be, I think I'll have it be underneath again over here, and maybe have the curl kind of go there. So I'm just freehand drawing, and then there's my stem. And have an eraser handy either on the end of your pencil or elsewhere. And maybe I'll do this shaped leaf. This is a little bit different, it has like 3 prongs. So maybe I'll do one of these over here. So maybe I don't want to do the same angle as that, so maybe I'll do it like this. I'm going to set that over here. I'm going to actually make it bigger, and I'm not going to trace it exactly, but I'm going to use this as a form, and I'm going to make it bigger. So I'm going to generally make this a little bit bigger. And so I'm going to outline this far from the edge. So I've got I'm adding basically 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to outline that, and I'm going to see how I've done that. It's not exact tracing, but I'm somewhat outlining it, and then I'm going to have him go under this leaf here, and then I'll have the stem go out here. Okay. All right. So there I have. Let's count my leaves. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got good leaf shapes. I have good negative spaces, negative shapes, so I can actually see the shape of the leaf. I have overlap. This one's on top of that one. This one's a little bit on top of that one. He's on top of that one. So I've got some good overlap happening there. So, so there's my design to begin with, okay? If I want to change anything or make some details, I change up some things. I don't know if I like that angle there, so I'm gonna just change that up a little bit and make that a little bit wider and kind of go in here like that, and maybe do that, okay? And then if I want to, maybe I'll go in here like that. If I want to draw the veins a little bit, I can do it lightly. We'll do that with the crayon, but if I want to make where my veins might go, usually the stem's going to curve a little bit, and the veins will kind of come out generally from where the stem is, and they can go in different fashion. So, so if I want to lightly kind of make a plan of what I'm going to do with my veins, I can actually look at the leaf. If I set this leaf here, there's a main vein kind of goes over here like that, and then I have one that comes off over here, one that comes off over here and goes to that. So I've got 3 main things, and then these guys kind of go straight out of there, and they're pretty symmetrical. They're kind of connected there, and then I've got more veins coming here and here. So I don't have to draw all the veins, but just observe how the veins are, and you can be creative and do some interesting things on your own. But this is that leaf, this is that leaf, so the veins are all coming from there, and then I might do some extra little things going here. And feel free to create your own patterns of the veins if you want. You don't have to have it totally realistic. If you want to be a little bit creative, I'm going to curve that one because it has a little bit of a curve. And I might make the veins go a little bit with a curve. If I make them super straight, sometimes it won't look like an actual leaf. It might look, it doesn't look as organic. Organic is meaning like it's growing and it's natural. If I make it, and I'll show you on my whiteboard what I mean, but see how they kind of flow with a little bit of a curve. So we'll stop right there. So here, I'm just going to use my whiteboard, and I've got like a couple leaves going here. But anyway, when we do our veins, we want to fashion them a bit after a real leaf. They have a little bit of a curve. So when we do our veins, we don't want to just go like this and go. It's kind of like, remember we did the tree that looks like a telephone pole? I remember we did our tree and we said, okay, there we go. And it looks too mechanical. I'm not sure if that's actually showing on the screen. But anyway, so when you do your veins, you know, have a little bit of a curve to them, okay? And it will give it a little bit more of an organic look, and you can still have some symmetrical things, like if you have one going there and there, here and here, they can come out from the same position, but see the difference? One looks like it's just sticks, and this one looks more realistic, okay? So, okay, so before we start coloring, sometimes if I have the pencil super dark, it will show through the crayon. So I'm going to lighten up my outlines with my pencil a bit. So I'm gonna, instead of just trying to erase the whole paper like that, I'm gonna just take one leaf at a time, and I'm gonna go, I call it undrawing the lines. I'm not gonna erase them so they don't show at all. I'm just gonna lighten them up a bit so that the pencil doesn't show through the crayon, because I don't want it to be super strong. So I'm gonna do that one leaf at a time, just lighten. I'm gonna just undraw some of my lines so they're lighter, and I won't do them so light that I can't see them. And if I did erase them a little bit too much, my brain could figure out where the line should go to put it back. So I mostly did it a little bit dark just so you could see it, and mostly on the outlines of the leaf. I didn't do the veins super dark, but I don't want that pencil to be showing through so dark. So I'm just gonna lighten that up a little bit and undraw some of my outlines. And then I'm gonna look at it and say, do I like how everything is? I'm gonna redo that. Okay, all right, so I think that's good enough to get started. So what we're gonna do, just like with the other projects, I've got my crayon box here, and I've got my leaves here. I've got green leaves, I've got varieties of oranges and yellow, I've got kind of yellow and orange and red, then I've got kind of green mixed. I'm gonna decide what leaves before I start painting, or coloring. I'm gonna do most of them red, orange, and yellow. I might do a little bit of green. I might do this guy green, and maybe I'll do this one green. And then I'll have the red, so it'll kind of be interspersed. So I'm gonna start with one leaf at a time. And this one I think I'll do oranges and reds. So it's a pretty large one. I'll start with that one first. So what I wanna do, I'm gonna go back to my box, and I really like having a box like this, a plastic box with a lid, because the lid can hold my extra crayons. So I'm gonna look for oranges and yellows right now, because that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna find, and maybe some reds, I'm gonna find that some of the oranges are gonna be like neon, and I don't know that I really want neon leaves for my fall leaves, so I want it to be more earthy. So I have them in here so I can kind of roll them. That works pretty well. This is kind of an orangey brown, so I think I got most one. Oh, there's that golden yellow. This is a good one. We used that on our leaves before. And you guys are probably familiar with the colors because we just finished our other project that was fall leaves. So here's kind of an orangey brown. Okay, so I think those are good. So I've got my test paper, so I'm gonna go and just see what, yep, that's a good one. I'll put those there, I'll put these here. And if I like them, I'll keep them. That's a good one. Yeah, I might use that one too. Most of them I think I'm gonna like, and I'll decide as we do each leaf. Now this is kind of a neon and it doesn't show up, so I'm gonna eliminate that guy. I don't know if you're seeing my sample. That's a little bit pinker. I'm not sure if I want that one. It's kind of similar to the other one. This one's a little neonish too, so I don't think I'm going to use it. This one's that's a good steady orange and yellow. I like that. This is kind of a, yeah, that's a good one. It's kind of a brownish orange. And that one's good. So I've got a lot of good colors that'll be nice to use. It's a bright orange. Here we're in the red family. That's a little bit pinky, similar to that, so I don't think I need that many. That's a good orange. This one's more of a brownish, but that might be good. So I think I'm liking most of these. Now this one's super neon, almost a pink, so I don't want that one. Okay, so I think these are good. So I'm gonna put my browns kind of down here, put my yellows up here, put my reds together, and then they're kind of in color families, so I know what I might want to do. Now, I can go light to dark or dark to light as far as how I want to do my shading, but remember we want to do at least 3 different shades per leaf. So I think I'm gonna we're gonna start with this one. I think I'm gonna outline it with I'm gonna start with an orange. Yeah, I don't know how dark an orange. I think I'll start with this. It's kind of a reddish orange. So, and if you notice, I just basically drew the leaf, but if you notice there's little scallopy or little zigzaggy lines or whatever. So when I'm gonna outline the leaf first, but I might add some of those, it's a little pointed, so I might add some of those zigzaggy lines a little bit. So I'm gonna outline. Sometimes the crayon will chunk up a bit, and if it chunks up a bit, sometimes the chunks will spread and smear. So I want to be careful that I don't get a bunch of chunks smearing all over my picture. So, but I'm going to color hard and heavy. The nice thing about when you are doing watercolor, if we do watercolor for the background, if we have a good outline on the leaf and a strong layer of crayon, the crayon is made out of wax, and remember the water is going to resist the wax because it's waxy, so it'll keep the paint off of the leaf if I give it a really nice border. So I'm going to, like what I did before, I'm going to outline and kind of give it a thick outline first because I want to stay within lines. I think what I'll do is I'm coloring, I'm going to outline this somewhat thick, and you see how I'm getting like some chunks here. Just be careful they don't get smeared all over the place. And if I'm getting a lot of chunks, I probably can lighten up my coloring. I don't have to color so heavy, but I'm going to go all the way around my leaf with this little bit deeper color and give it a nice thick outline. And sometimes we do this with oil pastels, and if you have oil pastels at home and would like to use the oil pastels, you can. They blend really well. They're a little bit softer, a bit silkier feel than crayons, but they can smear. You have to be careful that you don't end up smearing the color all over the place. But the colors on oil pastels are really bright, and they're fun to use sometimes. So see how I have a few bits of chunks? If I want to get rid of those, I can lift my paper up and then just kind of sweep it off over on the side. So there's a good layer of color. Now I'm going to bring in a little bit lightly because I'm going to do some blending. So I'm going to come in a little bit lighter with the same crayon and just go a little bit towards the inner part of the leaf with a lighter amount because I want to create some interesting color blending in some textures. So I'm going to do that. So see how I've done a little bit lighter in there, and then I'm going to go to, so this is like my darker orange. I'm going to go to maybe a lighter orange and decide which one. I think I'll go with this one. And then I'm going to blend in a little bit. I'm going to go back and forth, maybe touching kind of the darker orange, the reddish orange. And I'm going to work my way from the darker color to maybe golden yellow. So I'm going to go all the way around, and And this is going to create some interest in my picture because I'm going to have different shades in my leaf. So it's not just all colored in one color of orange or one shade of yellow, and it just makes it look kind of a flat shape. But it's going to look a little bit textural or dimensional or just more fun. So I've got that, and then I'm kind of bringing that into the center, and then I'm gonna maybe might go with this golden yellow, and I'm just gonna keep overlapping a bit, and I'm gonna bring it into, I'm gonna bring it into the brighter yellow. And I'm not coloring super hard. I can go all the way back up into the other area and it's gonna make a new color, new dimension, but I'm just gonna do somewhat of a light coloring just to give me a basis of what I'm gonna do here, okay? So it's all basically colored in. Now, if I want to go heavier with the color and do different layers, I can do that. So I'm gonna go back and maybe I might actually bring in a little bit darker orange, not the darkest one that I did, but I might blend in a little bit darker orange coming out of that reddish orange and bring that a little bit farther into my design. And I might do one little section of these leaves at a time, and I might come back and go heavier with the yellow. And if I go heavier with the yellow, I can go right back on top of the orange. I can go all the way out to the edge of my leaf, and it changes the color. It just makes it a little bit richer and a little bit deeper. But you see how it's like creating more of an intense color, and then I'm getting a little bit heavier as I go. I'm coloring a little bit stronger, and then when I get back to the middle, if I want it a little bit brighter, I can go a little bit heavier with the orange, or the yellow. But if I go super heavy to begin with, the colors won't blend because the wax will be heavy and thick, and then I can't blend the yellow and the orange or the yellow into the red because I've got too heavy of a layer of the initial color. So that's why I'm going back and forth, and I can have some subtle blends, and it's just the colors just getting brighter or more intense. So the intensity level is getting higher, and that just means it's brighter, it's more saturated. So you keep working my way across, but you can see the difference between here and over here. So I'm still seeing some white showing in there, and I'm trying to, and I don't have to use all the same colors the whole time. I can just do a little variety. I'm kind of making this be pretty even, whereas some of these leaves, like this one has somewhat of a pattern. It's got the green and then the red and pinks in the middle. But this one, it's got more of a yellow here and then the red's over here. This one's kind of random, a little bit of green here, and then the pink is just over on this side, and then there's a little bit of yellow. And this one, this one kind of has the red around the outside, and it's starting to turn brown there. But it's the darker red, and it goes to a little bit more orange. So you might have, this one's pretty uniform, like super dark on the little zigzaggy areas, and then dark, and it's getting lighter towards the middle. So you can fashion it after the real leaves that you're looking at, if you have real leaves, or you can just do it however you want. If you just think it would be good doing it a certain way, or if you want to do a pattern, if you want to do stripes or zigzags or a pattern within the coloring, feel free to do that, and just be creative. I'm making mine a little bit more realistic than just like a patterns. Like I'm not going to do like a checkerboard or anything like that, but if you want to do some kind of linear pattern, feel free to do that. You're welcome to do that. Yeah, you're gonna find, I'll show you this, let me put this right here. If I'm picking up like orange in my yellow, when I go back to color a yellow and green leaf, I might want to wipe that off just so I don't have those chunks of that orange picked up, because if I mix orange with green, it's going to turn brown. And I can have brown on my leaves and I can have a brown leaf, but if I want it to be nice pretty green, I might want to clean that off. So get rid of my chunks. And then I think that looks pretty good for now. When I do the veins, I can do those later. I think I might do them later, but they can be in a different color, or I probably will make them kind of an orangey color. I think that would look good. So remember I said I'm gonna do, I think I'll stop with this for now and I'll go to a green one maybe. So I think I'm gonna make, I was gonna do this green and this green. I could do these three green, or I could do this green and this green. That might be kind of interesting. Yeah, lots of decisions to be made.